Episode 3 of Business One-on-One, the video podcast series. We have a very, very special guest today. I'm very excited to talk to you actually for a number of reasons. But this is Daniel Francis.
Hello,
Do you want me to
everyone.
give you a full name? Daniel
Yeah,
Martin
give the full-
Francis.
give the
It's
full
such a
name.
cool,
The
he
full
just has a
government name.
cool government name. Daniel Martin Francis, who is the author of The Millenial Mind. We are here to have a conversation about your book, yes, but also you as a person. And one of the reasons I actually reached out to you was because in our first episode, if you rewind a bit, we featured Nikisha Ali. She's a creative business consultant, right? And there was a point in the conversation where we spoke about millennials and the way millennials operate and think. You've been able to take this and make it into a business on different levels.
Yep.
I didn't consider myself a millennial because I feel like millennial kind of speaks to the 2000s upward of people. Their mindset is completely different to those who are from like the early 90s or late 80s, for instance.
Well, in the book, I separated early, middle, late.
Right? What
And
are
the
the
late-
definitions you have for them?
So the early is more, let's say, 23 to 28. Middle is 28 to about 33, 34. And late is 34 to 39. For me, it really had to do with, and I always tell people I generalize because there will always be differences. There will always be outliers. Not everybody's the same. But, from working with millennials, specifically self-development work, you see that certain age groups are struggling with certain things. And it just makes sense. If you're fresh out of college, getting a job, now trying to save and figure out things, to me, early. You
Right.
have a specific set of issues you're dealing with. You're middle, you're a little bit more settled, but you still could take risks when it comes to like businesses and investments and just life in general.
Yeah.
That's more the middle. But when you're in the late now, you're probably looking at marriage, already married, already have a child, paying mortgage, all these different things. Your mindset, your life is just different.
Yeah.
So I can't paint a broad kind of stroke for everybody because everybody's in different parts of their lives. But that being said, we're still in that millennial category, which means that our specific issues are a little different, let's say to the boomers or the generation below us, even the generation above the boomers. And that's because we came about in this technological boom.
Right.
Wi-Fi and phones the size of like that could fit in your hand, because I remember the big old phone with the
Nokia with the
antenna.
antenna.
I remember seeing those things.
I was talking about that the other day with snakes, with the phones that had snake and snake and
having dial-up. I still have memories. I
Yeah.
hear any noise.
Yeah.
I have my early millennial cousins. They don't know nothing about that. They're like, what was that? There was Wi-Fi that I had to plug into a wall. I was like, yes.
the cable.
It just shows that we come from a very interesting time, but still, there's a bit of a difference based upon when you would have been born.
I love that you were able to encapsulate that into a book and to understand better the perspective of somebody who might fall into the other categories.
To make change and to move forward as a society, it can't just be one side. There needs to be us, it needs to be them, it needs to be ones below us to kind of bridge the
Middle
gap
ground. Yeah.
so that we can move forward.
You always had an interest in the area of personal development, self-help kind of.
Yeah,
Okay.
so my parents' company, Rebuild Limited.
The nature of that was what?
So it's re-engineering business through integrated technology and people development. All of it is basically leadership and personal development programs. I mean, they've been doing this, I think it's about 12 years now. I was always aware of it.
So you had that seed kind of sowed into you from very early on without, I guess, consciously knowing it.
Yeah, they would, and they were real slick with it, They would, because they used to say real specific things like, and it sound like real meme-ish, or like they pull that quote out of a book and I never used to understand it, but it drilled in my head now. But then when I started doing their
Psychology.
programs and looking at the programs, I realized they're pulling this stuff right out of the programs,
Yeah.
So they more or less basically planted the seed from early.
Yeah.
But I didn't actually know what they did until then I came back from college and I started working. And what it showed me was that they build the business from nothing.
Yeah.
They start with one client, the client like what they do, they referral, and boom. So they always believe that, you could do whatever you want, just make sure you love it. So I feel like they probably regretted that now because, all the years of strain and no movement and stuff,
Yeah.
but they were in it, so they understand it, right? And it really resonates more with me now because when you're an entrepreneur and you own your own business, you realize how hard it is.
Yes.
You realize how much work it takes. You realize that you could be grinding for years, make very little traction, and then another 5 years, and then boom, you're where you want to be.
You went to an academic school as well, right?
Yeah.
Which was
Fatima.
Fatima College. Yeah.
And let's be real. When you are doing CAPE and CXC and these things, they're just subjects you're good at. And when you're good at sciences, the options are more or less teacher, some specialization in whatever the science subject, or doctor. And when I was in school at that time, the big thing was being a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer. My path that I saw for myself was always to be a doctor. It's as much as a choice as you think it is any point in time. So you're there, prestige, and it just sounds nice. And then when your teachers are saying, you're good at bio, you're good at chemistry, just do it. So I said, okay, well, this had to be what I want. But your mind says something, your body says something else, your heart says something else.
Of course.
Right? So, because I got into St. George's College in Grenada right after Cape, but something didn't feel right. So I said, I'll take the year off, study, do SATs, because I didn't get a full ride. I missed it by like a 1 or something.
Wow.
And I said, but one thing my parents, and I even wrote about it in the book, they always wanted to study abroad and they never got the opportunity to. Especially my mom. She tried real hard.
Yeah.
So they really pushed that into me. So I was like, all right, I'm going to take the year off, do SATs, apply. Went through the process, got help, applied, and then got into a school called Loyola University in New Orleans. And that was just the most amazing experience of my life. Like,
yeah, I would imagine. Was it a multicultural type of school?
It was, they call it it's a Jesuit-run liberal arts school.
Okay.
So I didn't know what liberal arts meant until I got there. So the Jesuits are more or less learned priests. They make them get multiple master's degrees before they can become a priest.
Oh.
And they were teaching classes, they were presidents, all kind of things within the school itself.
During that time frame, were you clearer as to what direction you wanted to go into to be happy to be accepted into a liberal arts type of school?
The deal I made with my parents was I have to get a full ride or as close to it as possible for me to go. That was it.
You just wanted to go somewhere.
And I wanted a different perspective. I kind of wanted to get away from my parents as well, and experience something different. Because in my mind, I still wanted to be a doctor, but I wanted to experience life before I committed to it, because it's a long commitment. You'll never
Looking
know.
back at life, you'll be like, oh, that's actually real mature of me to think that way and to do that. Because the average person is not going to think that way. They're just going to wallow into a hole of, I don't know what to do next.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to float around. And I was saying in one of those other videos that I went to St. Joseph's Convent in Port of Spain.
Serious?
And yeah, so I have that whole academic background, and I felt very similar after Form 3 in picking subjects, because I felt like there was no group of subjects that really tapped into what fulfilled me more so than me just doing things that I seemingly on paper was good at doing. So when I did CAPE and when I did CXC, it was just to do it for good grades' sake. I didn't know anybody who could have guided me accordingly. I just didn't have any outside influence to say, well, you can't try this route. So yeah, I could really identify with that position and that you would have taken at that point to figure it out.
You come out of college, have this amazing experience, and then life is just, what is this? There's a whole feeling of, now what? What am I supposed to be doing? Because I couldn't send in my application to medicine. It just never felt right. And that spiraled me into 2 years of like doing nothing. Of course, you have to work, pay bills.
What type of job was that you were into?
It's a CSR in the bank. Yeah. Miserable. Every single day was miserable. It wasn't because of the job. It was just, I hated it. You're doing something that you're not passionate about. Every day is a pain. Every day is a when is the next day going to end?
Where you and I may be a little different to the average person is we are somewhat go-getters in the sense that if we want to figure out something, we would line ourselves up to do that. And not everybody has that strength. And so part of the discussion with this as well is to encourage and to influence people who are feeling a little stuck and lost. Go onto a path that mightn't feel the most comfortable, but it's going to lead you to a lot of open doors.
And that's one of my pet peeves. I believe that especially in our generation, people don't try hard enough.
Yeah.
They think they do, but they're doing bare minimum. You don't have a job, you send 5 resumes out, and that's it. And I'm just thinking to myself, listen, if I am jobless and I have all this time
and these bills and responsibilities,
I had to send a minimum 10. I have to be pushing the people, be like, hey, could I work for free just so you could see what I can do? You have to exhaust everything. Trinidad is a link country. You must have an aunt or uncle.
You could put up a story, you could put up a status.
You could go on LinkedIn, start a post religiously, let people know what you're about, get a job. But what we do is we say, hey, I sent out 2 resumes.
I will see if
a job will come
true.
But we don't see that it takes more than that. And the structure is really built upon your mindset of what you believe is there for you. So if you believe that well, I'm only entitled to this type of job, this type of pay in this field, then that's where you'll end up.
Yeah.
But if you say you want more, you believe you deserve better, you're not afraid of taking risks, you're not afraid of success. That last part is really important because a lot of people are afraid of success. You can do more.
What would you say to somebody like that, though, who is, conditioned and brought up in that type of environment, mental environment, to get them to see it otherwise, right? It's one thing to say, you need to do this, but how do you actually get them in that headspace to want to do it?
There's so many ways. I mean, one way is to really map out what you want your life to look like, right? When they sit down and say, well, maybe in 5 years I could see this for myself, this, and then you match it up to how they're living their life right now, they realize that there's no alignment there, especially if you're thinking about things you're passionate about. The minute you start saying, well, what do I want? And then how do I get it? You have you can't go back. It's really, really hard.
Yeah.
Once that light switches on, you could go back to default, but you'll always be aware of the light shining in your eye, like, hey, you say I wanted these things.
Yeah,
but
that's so true. And it could happen in a casual conversation. It can happen in you just searching on the internet for some kind of inspiration. I actually made a post on Instagram recently about doing a personal SWOT analysis. Meaning you just take the time. It's like a self-discovery type of session. You do it yourself. You take the time and you figure out, okay, what are my strengths? And you write it out. Writing it out is so really important. Yeah.
It kills me how much value, like Trinis and maybe even the Caribbean, they don't put enough value into their own personal development.
Yes.
Like some of these services I do here, I have clients in France. When I tell them the price, they'd be like, are you mad? Because they know the value of it. Because when you tell somebody to write down their goals and how to map it, they're like, that's not important. But then they're spending their days doing the same thing every day, not going in the direction that they want. But they can't see the value of investing themselves. They can't see the value of upgrading their personal development because they don't understand that by upgrading themselves, they now upgrade and attract a certain level of success to themselves.
That's so true. And even with creative and startup entrepreneurs, which is who this podcast targets, right? I always say before you even get into the mapping of your business or the plan for your business, you really should spend some time doing a bit of self-discovery and personal development, because it's only in identifying the goals that you have or that you want for yourself and putting timelines to that, right? That is the only time that starting a business and being successful at that business is going to make sense and it's going to match back up.
It's just got to a point where I was just spending my income on anything to make me feel like I'm having a good time. Drinks with your friends, parties, just anything. One day I just woke up and it's just like a snap. And I'm just like, 2 years have passed and no money saved. And I did the only thing I knew how to do. I said, hey, mommy, daddy, I lost, help me, I remember it was so funny. It's like they were waiting for that for years. They're just like, right, finally, we have, They gave me one of the programs, a personal development one, just the foundational stuff.
Wow.
And it just showed me that, you could have real potential, but you don't know how you don't know what your purpose is. You don't know how to manage your time. You don't set goals. You'll literally be a top in mud going nowhere.
Yeah.
And that really showed me that, wow, this is why I felt stuck. This is why I felt lost. And then I realized, I wasn't the only one going through this. I'm looking at my friends who's a lawyer, who is in a bank with me, who home scratching because they can't get a job. We're all going through something similar. And the median there, the common thread was that we all felt like this was our own struggle, our own personal struggle. No one else in Trinidad and Tobago is going through this. Meanwhile, all of us going through it.
Yeah.
And it just made it clear for me that I don't want anybody to feel the way I felt in those 2 years. So it just makes sense for me to now take these programs, take personal development, take whatever I can teach to persons. And I still remember this. I quit my job, which probably wasn't the best thing to do. And I was like, I'm just going to do this alone. Mind you, I hadn't got my own clients. I hadn't really done anything yet. And I said, I'm going to do this. 3 months, not a client, just nothing, just nothing. When I got my first 5 clients, I got 5 friends who were like, yeah, I need some guidance, need some help. And I did it with them. Because the thing is, it's hard to sell something when the only person you can speak to that has gotten results is yourself.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, I spoke about that. I learned the term the other day, beta clients, right? Those are people who you may not necessarily charge the full fee of the service for, but you just have them come on board from a testimonial point of view and from a creating the perfect program point of view. So
Yeah.
you feed off of their feedback and their experience with the program, and you adjust it to suit based on an actual interaction. It's not just you in your head trying to figure
Yup.
everything out.
Yeah. I wish I knew that back then.
Yeah.
Because again, I was only going off of the framework of my parents, and they were like, get your first couple of clients and then it will go from there. But if I knew what I know now, boy, freedom, free, yes, come try it for free. Give me, yes, when you enjoy it, just give me all the videos, give me all the content, and I use that. But
Yeah.
I mean, you live and you learn.
Most entrepreneurs, their parents are probably not entrepreneurs, or they belong to the generation that just works the 8 to 4, 9 to 5 type of lifestyle, and they would question why you even trying to do this.
Yeah.
What, this making sense for you?
Definitely.
It making money? No, well, and come and get a job, you know?
When I came onto the company, it was a real funny thing. My parents basically had their older clients, and that's what they did.
Right.
When I came on, it was more like,
Because the younger
I really want to
ones-
do that. I feel young people need some help. So I took a program and I was like, I'm going to do it my way because they don't know about no social media. They don't know about the marketing. They were like hard referral based. I said, I don't want to ask another millennial, hey, you just did my service. Can you give me the number of 5 other people who might also enjoy this so
Yeah,
that I
of
can
course.
call them up and call your name so that they can be uncomfortable with the fact that you gave out their number. I not doing that. I couldn't do it. So I had to do it my way, which would have been the social media, the posting, the being consistent, giving out the message, all that stuff, which obviously takes longer. Right? And they were like, you know what? Director of Youth Development, that's you. Do your thing. And that's kind of started my journey.
I think, and as you give that backstory, it makes sense as to how it all culminated into a book, right? Because all your reading material you would have gotten from your parents.
Yeah.
Were you reading books at that time?
2019, I made a conscious effort. I wanted to read a book a week. It's crazy. I mean, I was never, like, I read, but to read to that extent is kind of hard for me. But I said, I'm going to do this because I'm taking this whole personal development thing seriously. That was in January. I was up to about 36 books by the time September. So I was doing pretty well.
Wow.
And the majority of them were self-help books. So I'm the type of person that I can only do something once all the dots are connected, right? So a book was never on the agenda, but I knew that I wanted to be global in some way. I just don't know how. So when it comes to having goals and not knowing how they're going to get achieved, I just always leave the door open and just let it happen. Just always be open to something happening. I was just sitting that day and I was just thinking to myself, I keep meeting with all these young people with all the same problems over and over and over. I'll help one person and it really helps them. I'll help another person. I'll do a group. But there must be a way to share this info to a wider audience because I see how lost some of us are because I was lost myself. And there must be a way to just get this out there. And I was like, I could write a book. So, but I don't know anything about writing books. But then you think to yourself, in the time that we're in right now, anything
You
is
could figure
possible.
out anything.
You
Yeah.
can go on
Especially
YouTube.
somebody like you who would just go research and figure it out. Yeah.
I tell myself, listen, I am real goal oriented. It's all about the goals. Because I always said the business, so the golden egg for the business will always be me. If people want to look to why they should do personal development, look at what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right? I'm doing things that, listen, if I be real honest with you, English was not my best subject. I write in essays in college. Whew, Lord Father, I sorry for my teachers. But I wrote a whole book. What does that tell you? Once you know what you want, you set a plan, it makes sense, you have help, you could do anything. I knew in my mind, I said, I know I could write the book, right? It may not be perfect, but I could write the book.
Right.
I know. After getting the feedback, I was told editors make it nice. I said, great. And I went straight on social media because that's what millennials do.
Of course.
And I said, hey guys, I'll write a book.
What do you think?
Yeah, I said, I have a name, 2 names, the Millenial Mind, Adulting 101. Millennial Mind was 100%, Adulting was 0. I never get so many views on my story before. I said, well, this had to be something.
Something looking.
So I said, all right, I have no idea what I'm doing, but there must be a way to get this done. First thing that made sense to me to do was to talk to people who've done it before and get advice before I moved on.
Most sensible thing to do.
From that, I just got amazing advice. One friend, right?
So you spoke to other people who wrote books as well prior.
I spoke to local persons who wrote book. My sister actually wrote a novel that was just for kicks. She actually gave me the best advice I got, which was write every day at the same time. That helped me write the book in a month and a half. I was even lucky enough. I just slide in the DMs of a guy whose book I love, the same Daniel Priestley. The man replied.
responded.
I was like,
Very
listen,
nice.
he read my book, he reviewed it, he sent it. I was like, yo.
Very nice.
Listen, anything possible in these times. But yeah, it helped me to create a framework of what I was going to do. Write my manuscript by this time. Get an editor to edit from this period. Meet with this guy to make a strategy overall. then meet with him, marketing person, PR person, graphic artist.
I just love how there were little droplets of seeds that were just planted around you
Telling you.
to lead to this. Like it was just destined to happen. It just led you to that
It
path.
was
You had
all
all the right
connected.
people and all the right resources around you at that moment for it to make sense. The roadmap to a successful launch. I love that you did that, and that's so important to highlight and to stress on, because I think, as you say, it's a now for now culture and mindset that a lot of us have. Like, we expect things to happen right now.
I think it's more advantageous to spend a year working on your social media, making sure the book is perfect, building up capital so you can actually invest in it in a proper way, get as much knowledge as you can, and then come out in a big way, as opposed to it ready now, let me put it out there and do my best. You have to, the timing is so important.
Yeah, you
it's
have to
so
plan
important.
and prep. And it's ironic you say that, because it's something that I read about and I saw videos on as well that I didn't know of before. I didn't know that there's a planning incubation period that you should cater for if you want to launch something. It doesn't make sense to just create something great and be like, all right, it's here, you'll take it. No, you have to actually build up a loyal following and a loyal niche group of people who actually care about the content that you are planning to eventually release. So that by the time you do, you don't have to target anybody anymore. They're already here. They found you. They
Yeah.
exist here for you to work with and to do things for.
Because between writing the book and launching the book in April, it's 8 months.
Yeah.
I went into it in a thinking of, how can I make this as big and as amazing as possible, right? So when I got quotes, it was like maximum. So when I added up everything, it was like $40,000. I was like, well, Daniel, I don't have $40,000. But I feel like this is my first book. This is my baby. I can't see myself launching something and it's just whomp. You know,
Yeah.
it had to be big. You know, it takes that operational understanding of how to create a plan, how to stick with it, how to delegate, understanding how to communicate with others, knowing there's going to be risk, knowing that some people are just not going to do what they're supposed to do. And then what are you going to do? You can only do that by sitting down with people, really, really thinking about what we're going to do and putting a proper plan. So I decided I want to write this book and I want to sell a certain amount. I brought on a marketing person, a PR person, an assistant. I found a virtual assistant on LinkedIn. The author strategist, that was a client of mine. There's a person who's doing operational stuff. So when it came to like my physical launch and just doing like day-to-day things.
Just a grapevine of how everything connected
Yeah,
for you.
networking is key.
Yeah.
Networking is key. I had a decent plan from the get-go. So I want to launch a book on my birthday because I get the most eyes on me on my birthday. So that's the perfect time to put it out there. And I said, all right, I need a marketing strategy. I need videos. I need pictures. I need ideas for the launch. I need all these things. Sat down with everybody. We mapped it all out.
There's another element of your campaign that I found was really excellently executed as well, which is you incorporated a lot of micro influencers into your launch one, because I saw that somebody like Nyla, for instance, performed. And then you had other key young players in the industry like Penny, Major Penny, and a few other people, Tevin Gill, endorse your book. So talk to me about what went into that and what was the mindset or the strategy behind that as well.
Yeah. When I wrote the book, my goal was I wanted to be relatable, I wanted to be easy to read, and I wanted to speak directly to you as a millennial, right? So the marketing needed to extend that. So that's why you need different persons who are millennials going through regular things, talk about it so that you can see, oh, okay, this is about me, the stuff I'm going through. Another thing that I really worked hard on was once the book came out, I sent a lot of copies to people.
I was going to ask that if you gave a lot of free copies away for people to at least be able to experience the,
Like I think $2,000 worth in books were just given away or PDF sent to popular people who have a following, people who are in the personal development realm.
Right.
Just read it and give feedback. And that feedback was then turned into videos, testimonials, all these things that kind of put together to now help create steam closer towards the launch happening.
What about things like sponsorship? Did you find as you were leading up with the marketing and the promotion that external entities were reaching out to you to maybe collaborate or to sponsor the book?
That name really helped. The Millenial Mind.
Yeah.
All the corporate ears were just like, ooh. When it came time for my launch, things were a little bit haywire because of COVID, I couldn't put the book into bookstores when it was about to come out. I couldn't sell it the way I wanted to.
Yeah, because it launched officially in...
The book itself came out April 15th.
2020.
Yeah.
Which is smack when
they were like, you had to stay with me, can't go anywhere. So what happened was, coming down to the launch, I said, well, I need some sponsors because I wanted to do my virtual launch the same way I wanted to do my physical launch. I didn't want to take anything back. So I still wanted to have a host. I still wanted to have performances. I still wanted to have sponsors on board. So I just thought about, okay, who need millennials? And who's doing book things? When I looked at the risk, it just made sense.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, I mean, I throw events. I could sell tickets for parties. I could sell books, man.
Come on, yes.
So I said, worst case, I sell 500 books. 500 books, still enough to
break even,
manage for a little while. But even if I sell less than that, I still have a book that I wrote that I could walk into meetings and say, yo,
hold that
there. There's a book there. I write on millennials. I come in to do some training for millennials. I have that. Best case, I sell more 1,000 or 2,500 and things happen. Those little spikes of hype over time helped it so that when I got to the launch, I had people telling me, yo, this is the age of legs and pegs. Salty have he live.
Yeah.
It's a versus nobody not watching no book launch or no live. That terrified me. But I was like, listen, I can make this
push
work.
this, yeah.
For that month, I WhatsApping, emails, we had the posts, we had the book come on the 15th. People have started to buy the book. I gave the book free to people who were doing reviews, who were posting about it. I had started to have ambassadors. Ambassadors were posting specifically for the day itself. All these different entertainers who would be there, they were posting about it as well. When you culminate all that together on the day now, turn into 2,500 people viewing this live.
Amazing.
And it was insane. I sit down on the day, I'm just thinking to myself, this is crazy that this actually happened.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, from that point on, for the next 3 months, I didn't have to actively sell. It was just, hey, I could get a book, message, DM. And that is, to me, that made it so worth it. You could put in all that thought, put in all that effort. The plan works, and then you're not reaping the rewards.
Not to mention the irony of you actually applying a lot of millennial strengths into the campaign and into the whole launch itself. Because to use all that technology and social media and campaign ideas to execute a marketing plan.
Yeah.
That especially an online marketing campaign plan that led to the successful sales of so many books.
Yeah.
I love how the irony of how it marries into each other. You write a book about Millenial Mind, you use a lot of millennial strategies to get the books to sell, and it just takes you to the next level.
And then my thing is, and I really urge this with people, when you are making these plans, try to make sure that everything is connected.
Yes.
And the momentum of one thing can aid the momentum of something else.
Yeah, in relation to the business of the book itself. You launch your book, you gain money and revenue from the sales of the book. But what other avenues did you find now pop up for you as additional streams of income related to having this book?
Yeah, the book came out. Obviously, I have book sales. You get it from Amazon, the paperback, Amazon, the ebook, my physical selling of the book, and then when I got it into different little bookstores. Things that really surprised me that brought in money. Merchandise. I started doing hoodies. I started doing tees. Those things sustain me in between. The corporates who want those millennials, so now they are partnering with me to help them with different campaigns to help bring those, because again, if they want to change their image to see more modern, they will use me, right? So I just signed one. I'm looking to sign another one. If you're getting a particular amount of engagement, they might want to utilize that engagement by positioning their product or service next to you.
All right.
So
it's kind of like brand deals.
Basically brand ambassadorship type things. So a lot of that started popping up, and those are going to start for me really soon. I think the biggest thing now, which is something I'm starting, because again, going back to things always being connected. When I came up with the book, I was like, yo, this book is going to become a program.
Yeah.
It is going to become a self-development program, which I create so that I sell the book to people. I'm at 850 now. I message all 850 people and say, hey, I have a self-development program based off of the book.
Yeah, and if you get at least 10% of that is still.
And that was the goal. And it just, it has to be connected. It can't just be, this is my product and that's it. No, what is the next step? What is stage 2? What's stage 3? How is it connected? Because that's how we get stuck. You get a hype, because I know the book hype is going to die.
Yes.
I can already feel it and linger a little bit. And then what? I could write the next book, but there needs to be more. And the more is coming, so that's what next month is looking like, where I'm launching the program.
Is it a virtual program for now?
Yeah.
With COVID-19?
So it's called Sculpting Millennial Mind, 14 Keys to Unlocking Your Full Potential, where each chapter, they read it, and then they get a guidebook that goes into more exercises, more insight. So you can get more practical use out of it. And of course, I'm the guide to help them get there. Because again, I was there. and I understand where people's minds are at when it comes to personal development. They don't necessarily know it's important, but when they read a book like this, they start to see, oh, and there's like so many different things specific to millennials that I want to create, and it's so crazy, like, because I was never gonna just create a company, but when it came out and opportunities just started appearing, it just made sense. It's never just about the product, because for me, it was never just about selling the book. That's why I do free delivery. I'm not beating up. I want you to get the book. I want you to get the help. And then I want you to realize that this personal development, self-development, there's something to it. And then now you think of me when it comes to whatever the next step is. I was in the Guardian, the Newsday, and the Express. I've been doing radio interviews, TV interviews, panelists on summits, all kind of things that I never expected. People reaching out to me from all over the world. And it's opening doors that I just would have never imagined. Yeah. All from writing a book.
In relation to everything with the book and all the other opportunities that stemmed from it, business-wise, you decided to officially structure it in the form of registering a business. So talk to me about how that process has been for you as well, because to clarify again, you were kind of doing all of this under the umbrella of your parents' company.
I realized, I actually need to actively sell. So I started writing receipts and all these things, because when I started the process of registering, because of COVID, everything was backed up. I'm telling you, legal affairs was in pressure. So it took weeks. Again, talking to our accountant, talking to lawyers, and they're like, just write a receipt, keep track of everything. So that now it's finally registered last week. And now
Did you do sole trader or limited?
Limited. I'm not even trying to. I just trying to get straight to where I go in and stick to that practice. So I spent 2 weeks of just consultants. I talked to the law consultant, I talked to the business consultant, I talked to the who was this person, the branding consultant, and I paid them the money because I want to know the things that I don't know, what I need to be looking out for, because I don't want to get caught with my pants down. Right? And I said that experience has been really sobering. It's really helped me to ground myself into, okay, I have a better understanding. I can move forward without worrying too much, because for me, I know for this to do well, I need to stay creative, stay consistent.
Yeah, of course. But still make sure that the business is handled.
And still make sure that things are getting done in a particular way. Because if there's one thing I've seen is people who didn't do this, get in charge every month because they didn't do this, piles up over years, and all of a sudden now they need the amnesty.
In regards to things like your taxes, etc., with this whole process, has that opened your eyes to understanding how that part of things can affect what you do?
Well, I'm meeting with the lawyer Friday. She's going to give me what she call it a prescription. And it's just going to be things I have to do at a particular time. Because I saw how much trouble people got with those things in particular. And I said, money going into that. I am not playing with that. I'm not trying to get in no kind of trouble with that.
All the money you make from this could just go in like two twos if you don't have that sorted out from as early as possible.
Again, and from speaking to the different consultants, because remember, I only know the creative side, I know building, I know the campaign side. Talking to accountant and all these different things, you realize like, I don't know any of this.
There was a video I saw with Robert Kiyosaki. There was a video that I saw on YouTube, an interview he did, and he said something so potent. He said, as an entrepreneur, you have to understand money.
Yeah.
That one sentence to me, like, it made a world of sense, because you kind of just come into this as a creative or a freelancer and assume like your job is just to create. You have to understand the business side, and not just the business, the money side of how it works, so that your creations and all that you do is protected and it's done in the best way for you to not have to deal with the headache. But regardless, you're getting the right information to carry you along the right path. And I think that is in itself an invaluable lesson that you would have learned from just this one idea.
And when we make decisions based upon the knowledge that we have, we're limiting ourselves. I had to learn this in books. I had to learn this from people to then say, this makes sense. I can struggle for this much because I can see where it's going to lead me. But if I had only stuck into what I understood, tell you, I don't know what I would be doing right now.
And I'm sure there's so much more that related to publishing a book that you probably have not even tapped into yet. That is probably, the doors of that are going to open as well for you to maximize and to capitalize on. So I just want to wrap things up now with you talking about the book to the people. I think you have done a really good job, and I think you will do really good in the future as well, because you're so invested in what you are passionate about, and it's going to show in the products itself, and it's going to show in the growth and the success of what you do. So I wish that for you, and I'm invested in your journey to see how well you transform all of this into something under the umbrella and the parent company of. I mean, tell people where they can copy your book, how they can get access to all this valuable information.
So, I mean, you can check me out on social media. It's rebitlimited.com. Oh, say .com, yes. Rebit Limited, REBIT Limited. Just drop me a DM.
What's the price of the book right now?
$150 TT, and then delivery is free. And of course, you can go on Amazon, purchase if you like. You can get the paperback and the ebook there.
Yeah.
I would say it's better to DM me because you're getting that in like 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
One
but,
time.
I mean, stay and you know, guys, he has so much more things to come.
Yeah. So
based
much
on his
happening.
plans and based on his goals. So, I mean, I wish all the best for you. You are definitely going to do amazing things. And I really
Thank you.
appreciate you taking the time to come out
course.
and have this conversation.
Looking forward to this.
Yeah, I don't know how we never had this conversation before. We never met, but I'm really grateful. Again, look, an idea led you to a video podcast series to talk about this and probably impact hundreds of more people.
Well, as you hope.
I encourage you, if you're looking for somebody to help guide you or to develop you from a personal or self perspective, this is the man you have to go to.
Got you.
Yeah.